That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni-beating, pie-eating, trailblazing, eyebrow-raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
All right, welcome to Around the Ring episode 57. My name is Dave. I'm your host. I'm joined along with my good friend Michael from WrestlingExpress.net. How you doing, sir?
Good, how about you?
Doing well, doing well. How are things over at Wrestling Express?
Doing well, doing well.
Any new exciting things going on?
I mean, outside of planning on doing some new video series, other than that, nothing really.
Oh, awesome, awesome. All right. So, folks, if you're not reading Wrestling Express on a regular basis, you need to do that. WrestlingExpress.net. Check that shit out. It's good stuff. So we're going to talk about WrestleMania and NXT TakeOver Dallas. Before we jump into that, since last time we talked, a whole bunch of stuff has happened, but some of the most recent news, Bobby Roode and Eric Young have finally left TNA. What do you think about that?
I think on the news that, at least for Bobby, it has to do with money. And very similar situation to what happened with AJ, that it doesn't look good for TNA. But in terms of Bobby and Eric, they've been with the company for 12 years. It's a tough spot for them too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure both of them will have relatively easy going on the independents. They'll be able to get work pretty regularly, pretty quickly. So I'm sure they're going to be fine. And if whether or not they end up in WWE or an NXT, I'm sure there's some interest there. I even heard a rumor that WWE was more interested in Eric Young than Bobby Roode, which I thought was really interesting and also kind of odd. But I mean, I'm sure Ring of Honor or New Japan or any number of places will sign these guys up pretty quickly if they haven't already.
I agree.
Yeah, because I mean, and I kind of like Eric Young. I was one of the few people I think that liked his world title run. I thought even though it was obvious they gave it to him to kind of jump off the whole Daniel Bryan thing. But if you compare his run with Daniel Bryan's run as world champion, I think Eric Young's was actually better. Then again, that was actually when I could watch TNA because they had a square ring and not that six-sided monstrosity that gives me a headache. But yeah, I liked him. I thought he was a good fighting champion. He does the whole crazy gimmick also pretty well. So we'll see. I would like to see both of them show up in NXT. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I don't think Eric Young would have much of a shot on the main roster, but Bobby Roode probably could.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
And speaking of former TNA stars in the main roster, what do you think of the way that WWE's treated AJ Styles?
I think they've done pretty well with AJ since AJ came in at the main at the Royal Rumble.
I loved that entrance of his at the Rumble. That was so cool, and that crowd just going berserk was a great moment.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And when they kept chanting for him even after he got eliminated, and I got to give WWE props because you knew that he wasn't going to win the thing, but they were smart enough to have him eliminated by someone the crowd wouldn't immediately shit on. So they had him eliminated by Kevin Owens. And then within a couple minutes of that happening, you had Dean Ambrose come out and you had Sami Zayn come out. So it's like, because that crowd deflated as soon as AJ was gone. And it was like, oh crap, it's 2015 all over again. This is not going to be good. And then they brought in, Dean came out to a good pop, and then Sami Zayn came out and the place went nuts. So that was, yeah, I have to give them props when they do something right, and that was that Rumble overall was really good. I thought. The pay-per-view since then, on the other hand, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so which do you want to talk about first? You want to do WrestleMania or you want to do TakeOver?
I guess TakeOver.
Okay, let's do TakeOver. Now, between these two, which are you looking forward to more?
It's tough. It's tough. But I think I'm going to go with WrestleMania.
Really? Okay. How come?
Yeah.
Well, is there a specific match on Mania you think that's kind of setting you over the edge between the two?
Taker and Shane.
Taker and Shane? Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. Let's go through these cards, and we'll then come back to this question. Okay, so as of right now, TakeOver. Hold on one sec. No, don't. TakeOver is going to have, and who knows what the order on the card is going to be, but we're going to have Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin. What do you think on this one?
Well, since it's Austin's debut, I think he has to win. But I think it's a dusty finish.
I could see that happening. Yeah, I think Austin Aries has to win, but I think because like you said, it's his debut. But they're not going to bury Corbin because they're really working hard on building him up, and he's improved a lot.
Yeah, totally.
So he is leaps and bounds better than he used to be. He's so much better as a heel, just because I get the feeling he is in real life a dick. So if we learned anything from Breaking Ground, it's that Baron Corbin is a dick. Really. Yeah, I think this should be a good match. I think it's going to be fun. But yeah, I think Austin Aries wins and either gets the holy crap beaten out of him afterwards, or it'll be really close.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got Apollo Crews taking on Elias Sampson. Yep, I think that silence speaks volumes. Why are they wasting Apollo on this? Okay, I know Elias Sampson has a great look, but do we really need another Roman Reigns situation? Because this poor cat cannot get over. His gimmick sucks. Walking to the ring with a guitar is awful. Obviously, Apollo Crews has got to win. You've got to think. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, to quote The Rock, Samson looks like Tarzan and wrestles like Jane.
He does. He's so often a spinning neck breaker for his finish. What the crap is that? I mean, I didn't buy that as a finisher when Honky Tonk Man did it.
He watched an early Curtis Axel match.
Oh, oh man, and that's not a good thing. That is, jeez. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, and it sucks that you know that he had to give that beat down to Johnny Gargano. I mean, at least Gargano won the match this last week on NXT, but that is, and I don't know what they're waiting for with Gargano and with Tommaso Ciampa as far as like fully signing them. I don't know if they want them just to do more and evolve for a while before they bring them in full time. But those two guys are so good. Especially Johnny Wrestling. He is, I mean, he's got such potential long term.
Yeah, totally agree. I love Johnny.
Yeah. All right, well, the next up is going to be the tag team title match. The Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. I'm not crazy about that name. I thought they were going to be called the Mechanics. Taking on American Alpha, a name also I don't like, with Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. I think this is going to be a great match.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure that Jordan and Gable are walking out with the belts.
I completely agree.
Yeah. But I don't think that's going to be the end of Dash and Dawson. I think those two guys have a lot of potential, more so than Blake and Murphy have, because Blake and Murphy, they lost the titles, and they've kind of gone into obscurity. They're basically Alexa Bliss's valets at this point, which is fine. And the three of them have a great chemistry together. Alexa Bliss has been so much better with those two, and as a heel. And that's fine. They don't need to be champions again. If Alexa ever goes to the main roster, they should come with her as basically her valets, her pets. And that's a good role for them. But I think Dash and Dawson have a lot of potential as a long-term, we just are here to hurt people, evil tag team.
I could see that.
Now, a lot of, with whether or not they get over on the main roster, a lot will hinge on how much longer Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn are in control. Because obviously these two guys have gotten over big time in NXT because they're really good, and plus the NXT fans can appreciate a team that really desperately wants to be Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think American Alpha's going over. I think it's going to be a hell of a good match. And there is so much potential in Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, especially Gable.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. His only, if he was 6-7 inches taller, he wouldn't have an issue as far as becoming a huge star. But he has the potential because he is so damn good. Did you see NXT this week?
No.
Okay, well, or was it last week?
I did see the GIF making rounds with Gable's Chaos Theory.
Yes, that oh my God, that Zuplex. I thought he broke that poor fool's neck. I mean, who was it? Aiden English took that like a champ.
Yeah.
And
it was a sweet looking suplex.
Oh, it was. And you got to give credit where credit is due. I don't think Aiden English and Simon Gotch get enough credit, because they are actually really good. They're good at taking bumps. They're good at making other people look good. I don't know how much long-term potential they have. I don't know if they're ever going to be guys that see the main roster. But they could just be kind of one of the kind of bedrocks in NXT tags division, and they could get the titles a few times over the years, and that could be fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's true. I think they could end up on the main roster, but I don't think their stay would be long.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they would get over, because I'm not sure, one, if the folks running the main roster would know what to do with them. And two, I'm not sure if the main roster fans would know what to think of them. I can't help but compare them to the Ascension, which I think the Vaudevillains are much better than the Ascension ever were. But the Ascension, anytime they show up in NXT, they're treated like royalty. And the crowd loves them. They wrestle a whole lot better. And then, every time they've been in the main roster with anything they do, they're treated like jabronis, and you see kind of how much they suck. It's like that bright light that is the main roster shows all of their flaws. So yeah, I think the Vaudevillains would have a better chance probably in the main roster, but it's also really quirky and not something your average Joe Schmo who is listening to a top 40 playlist on Spotify when they're doing their workout is going to get. So, I guess we'll see. Yeah. Next up is going to be the debut of Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Sami Zayn in what I'm suspecting is going to be Sami Zayn's last match in NXT. That has potential to be the match of the night, possibly even match of the year. How do you think this one's going to go down?
I think that as long as they give the match time, which I don't know how much time they're going to give it, considering Sammy's going to be in a probably 15-20 minute match at Mania 2 days later, or, well, give or take a day and a half later.
Yeah.
But then again, it really depends on their plans for him on Raw. If I was them, I'd let him steal the show at NXT, steal the show at Mania, and then just have the night off on Raw.
Yeah, that's not, or just come out and do a promo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. They need for two things need to happen on this in this match. One, they need to give it a lot of time so that you can showcase what Nakamura can do and showcase what Sami Zayn can do. That can be his big send off, and it can be a back and forth great match. I'd say I'd want it to go at least 20 minutes, and have him almost win a few times. Nakamura take it out at the end. They shake hands at the end. Nakamura leaves the ring, and the NXT place just goes berserk for Sami. He says his thank you and leaves. And then if they were smart, and they're not, so I don't foresee this happening, but in the lead up to the match at Mania, you could show clips from the match with Nakamura and just say, 2 days ago, what kind of condition is Sami Zayn in? He had one of the best matches you'll see all year long against Shinsuke Nakamura in NXT. How will he be able to handle this match? And you could even play up the whole underdog thing even more in that match. So we'll talk about that ladder match here in a little bit. But yeah, I think Nakamura is going over. Do you think that as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nakamura's going over.
How long do you think they're going to have Nakamura in NXT?
I think it's going to be sort of like a Hideo Itami type thing, where they keep him down there until he's comfortable wrestling the WWE style.
Yeah, I think so. And you got to wonder, what is with Nakamura coming in? What does this mean for Itami when he gets done with his injury? I mean, are they going to kick him to the curb? Do you think he's going to get released? Because you compare the two, and Hideo Itami's fantastic, but as far as charisma, he can't touch Nakamura.
I mean, that would be good. That would actually be good for Hideo.
Yeah. Yeah, actually getting released, going to be able to go back to Japan.
Yeah.
That might be really good for his career.
Yeah.
Because New Japan or Noah would just scoop him back up with a nice big paycheck, and he could, almost take Nakamura's position in New Japan.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see. Yeah. But I think of all the matches that this entire WrestleMania week, this is the one I'm looking forward to the most. And I think followed my next two most anticipated matches. One of them is this next match, the NXT Women's Championship, Bayley versus Asuka. This one's going to be brutal, I think.
Yeah, it will make people remember like the tough people of the past, like Bob Holly or Vader or even Bradshaw when he was in the ring.
Yeah. So who do you think's going over? You think it's going to be because I suspect Asuka's going to win. But also I think this completely depends on what are they going to do with Bayley. Is Bayley showing up on Raw on Monday? I think if Asuka wins, Bayley's on Raw on Monday.
See, I don't know if they should bring Bayley up on Monday, because then it's the basic, I mean, I know, okay, the night after WrestleMania is normally when they make people debut, but then you go back, 3 years ago when Paige did it. are you going to do the same thing they had Paige do? Or are you just going to have Bayley debut and, say, have a stare down with Sasha leading into a pay-per-view match at Extreme Rules?
Well, I think I don't think you have her come in and win the title. Because this also hinges on who wins in that three-way match. But you could have whoever wins. Bayley has a history with all of them. They could be in the ring arguing, about to tear each other apart. Bayley's music hits, comes out and's like, "What the hell's wrong with you guys? We're the four horsewomen. We should be running this place." And you could do an angle like that. So
good point.
Yeah, it depends, but I'm terrified of them putting Bayley on the main roster, not because I don't think she has it, and not because I think if they play their cards right, she is money. That she will take women's wrestling to a whole new level as far as fans are concerned, and she would be. I think she could be beloved because she's already beloved. Look at the way that crowd in London treated her. That was amazing. But there's also the fear of it's the main roster, and more times than not, they screw things up. So are they going to ruin this poor girl? So I don't know. I have so little faith in what goes on the main roster that I'm afraid of Bayley going up there. But I will pop like a mofo if there is something going on that Monday, and the three other horsewomen are in the ring, jaw-jacking, about to go to fists, and out comes Bayley, and the balloon men come up, and the whole 9 yards. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think Asuka as the women's champion down in NXT would be fantastic. The only problem you have with Asuka as champion is kind of the problem you have with Brock Lesnar as champion, is who realistically is going to beat this woman. Because honestly, I watch her come into the ring, I'm like, okay, she's going to kill anyone who steps in the ring with her. And
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That once again, you took the words right out of my mouth.
and I think she'll be a great women's champion. I think Bayley's going to give her a hell of a match. I mean, she's had really good matches with Emma. And it's one of those things you forget how good Emma is because she's so misused a lot. At least on the main roster, she's been really, she's been used really well in NXT. I love her with Dana Brooke. I've gotten to the point where I actually really enjoy Dana Brooke, at least her talking. I mean, she's been hurt for so long that she's going to have like severe ring rust when she does finally get back in the ring, which is sad because it was just finally, I think, starting to really click for her. But man, as far as a talker, Dana is fantastic. And if it doesn't work out for her as an in-ring competitor, she's got a hell of a career as a manager or valet. Because she used to annoy me, and now she's really entertaining. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens with that. And then the main event, we've got Finn Balor taking on Samoa Joe for the NXT title. Yeah. So how do you think this one's going to go down?
I think whoever loses may show up Monday.
Agreed.
On Raw.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And it's funny because, Finn has talked very openly about being in no hurry to get to the main roster. I think he's seen what happens to people that go to the main roster. Tyler Breeze is the best example, probably. And he thinks to himself, I don't know if I really want to deal with that. I've got a good thing going on here. But it's... Yeah, and it's like, okay, so what do you do with him? Because so you've got Gallows and Anderson who are supposed to come in April, so that's perfect timing. Do you have them show up and them and Balor get involved on Monday or even at WrestleMania at some point as the Bullet Club or whatever they're going to call it? Does that happen?
Honestly, I think that's the only way they can bring him up.
I agree.
that's the only way they can bring him up if they create the storyline within 48 hours of 72 hours of the show.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could have a situation where Joe wins the title, and Gallows and Anderson show up, and Joe wins the title. He leaves Finn in the ring. Finn has is just sitting there dejected on his knees, like, holy crap, I can't believe I lost this thing that means so much to me. And then whatever music that they're going to use for the Bullet Club hits, Gallows and Anderson come out, they embrace, and or they come out and they beat the holy hell out of Samoa Joe, and they show up, and who knows, maybe they get involved in the Shane Taker match. Maybe they just show up on Monday. It's I don't know, but it begs the question: does Finn Balor then, with the Bullet Club, become a heel? Is he a babyface? I don't know. This is, of all of the matches on this card, this is the one I really have no clue about.
Yeah,
I think they're going to give Joe the title, because why else would you put him in this match, other than they just don't have anyone else to put in the match? Because they're a little depleted right now. And because with Sami Zayn going up to the main roster, with Apollo Crews just not quite there yet as far as the title is concerned, even though he had just a couple of killer matches with Finn Balor. He's just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
They're not ready to commit to Johnny Gargano or even Tommaso. And Austin Aries is just showing up. So it's like, what do you do? And Samoa Joe's been such on fire as a heel that he would be great. But on the flip side, the main roster seriously needs really good heels, and Samoa Joe could kill it there. Maybe he could show up and take out Shane McMahon in the Taker match, or something. Maybe he could show up and attack Roman Reigns and help Triple H or something. Who knows? But yeah, I suspect Samoa Joe's getting the title, and I think they're going to send Balor to the main roster with the whole Bullet Club thing.
Yeah, because I think it's a similar situation to with Bayley. Because at this point, especially with Bayley, who does she have left to beat? Same with Finn. Who does he have left to beat?
Exactly.
You put the title on someone new, and you get fresh challengers.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost a transitional period now in NXT, where that first group of people that really made NXT, gave it a buzz and made it what it is, they're now moving on, and it's time to bring in a whole new crop. And I think having guys like Samoa Joe and Austin Aries, bringing in these guys who are big time veterans to help the newer folks that they're signing that have no experience is fantastic. And plus, it gives you people who are immediately ready for TV. And as much as WWE likes to say that TNA isn't competition, and really it's not, at least the guys and gals who've been in TNA have, production value wise, probably are much more prepared for the way that WWE presents their product, because TNA is so, it's made for TV. So they understand the whole camera angles and all that. They just have to get used to the physical setup that the WWE uses. So that's, I mean, you look at AJ Styles coming in, and he adapted perfectly. I mean, there was nothing. It was just, he was there, and boom, it worked. And I think that is all the years he was in TNA, with the fact they were on TV for so long, and then in New Japan, with New Japan really going for TV, and the pay-per-views with New Japan World and everything. And I think the combination between those two is really what made him he was able to slide right in to that main roster. And it does, though, beg the question, how many of the bigger people that they sign are going to now get sent right up to the main roster, or is he just the exception? Because since they sent Nakamura, there was thought, well, will Nakamura just show up on Raw? But he went to NXT, which is a good thing because, you know, his English is still, he can speak it, but he's still working on it, and he probably needs to get more acclimated to the WWE style and whatnot. Where for AJ, he's wrestled everywhere, and it's easier for him to do that. But, you know, does a guy like a Bobby Roode, who is he on the same level as AJ? Does he get to be slot right in there, or is it? Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much the fact that AJ was the IWGP champion twice makes a difference. Because I think it does. But do you think he was a one-time exception? I mean,
I don't think Bobby and him were on the same level, because I think AJ is more of an international superstar, and I think WWE saw that he could help their business in Japan. Same with Nakamura, but I think that because AJ also had value over here, that's why they put him back up on put him right up on the main roster. But I also think that if Jericho wasn't there, I don't know if AJ would have went right up.
True. Yeah, I think Jericho has something to do with that. I think they were also, maybe there was some desperation there. They were desperate to have a Royal Rumble that didn't suck. Because for 2 years they had ones that went over like a wet fart.
Yeah.
And bringing him in was going to be a big deal. And it's, I mean, as much as they tout Brock Lesnar's record, and the fact that he was an IWGP champion, how do you bring in a guy who's held that belt twice and not put him in the main roster? And luckily they did, and it worked. And that's not it's not an insult to NXT, because there's a part of me that wanted him in NXT to see those matches. But even at this point, the main roster has to start changing and evolving. And they're going to have to evolve with what the fans of wrestling want, as much as they don't want to be considered a wrestling company or a wrestling show. The core fans are still wrestling fans, and those fans, the diehard ones especially, have evolved. They prefer things like, NXT. They prefer Lucha Underground and Ring of Honor and stuff like that. And if you want to make that core base happy, and that core base will then tell their friends and bring their friends in, WWE, I think, eventually is going to have to go that route to make a viable product in the long run. Now, granted, this is going to have to be after Vince leaves, because at least Triple H has the brains to say, well, I might not get it, but these people love it, so I'm going to go for it. As I heard, he did that in an interview. It might have been that panel they did before at SummerSlam for TakeOver Brooklyn. He said something along the lines of, yeah, there are things I don't get, but if it works, I don't care. Let's go for it. Which is unlike Vince. Vince and Kevin Dunn, it's my way, it's a highway. Why don't you people understand this is what's best for you? So once Vince is gone, I think things will be better. That's
said it best.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, let's go to WrestleMania. And let's start out with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So this year they're doing something a little bit different with WrestleMania. They're doing a 2-hour pre-show on the USA Network. We know the Battle Royal is going to be on that. I'm not sure. I'm guessing the Usos Dudley match is also going to be on there. But Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, who do you think is going to win this?
Well, I'll just say this, that I'm kind of disappointed that the Battle Royal is on the pre-show. I would have much rather seen Kalisto and Ryback on the pre-show.
Amen. But
because I think that match is going to go over like a fart in church.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And who knows? I mean, it's 2 hours. I don't think that Battle Royal is going to go for 2 hours. So we very well still could have the Kalisto Ryback shit show in the pre-show, which is where it should be. And whoever decided to put that match together, well, we'll get to that in a second. But Battle Royal. So Big Show's already thrown his name in the ring. Kane, obviously based on what he did on Monday, coming out, getting involved. He's going to be in it. I'm thinking all the Social Outcasts are going to be in it, who I actually really enjoy. I never thought I would enjoy anything that Heath Slater was involved with, and I actually enjoy the Social Outcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing Braun Strowman's probably going to be in there. I'm guessing that Mark Henry's going to be in there. I know that a few months ago, Solomonster on his show pitched the idea of having Mark Henry win the Battle Royal, and that be it. That is his send-off. Let him go out on a high note. I like that idea.
I do too, and I was going to say that odds are, if Braun Strowman's in it, I think he wins. But I would like to see either Mark or Kane win, because there is a possibility that Kane is wrapping it up soon. Also, and you give him the win for the same reason why you give Mark the win.
Yeah.
But I think it's also very possible that Kane's there next year, so if worst comes to worst, give him the win next year. But, I mean, if you give Big Show the one Battle Royal win last year, it's not like the Battle Royal means very much.
Right.
How much it really going to help Braun Strowman?
True. I mean, look what it didn't do for Cesaro, which it should have been. They could have turned this Battle Royal into a way to help make new people, because that when he body slammed Big Show out of that, they shook hands, and people were ready for him to be a babyface right then. And he could have still been a babyface with Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece. But then they screwed that whole thing up. So then with last year, them giving it to the Big Show, in a way it's almost like, okay, let's give it to some of these old farts who are about ready to go. This is a nice little send-off package. It's their watch. At retirement. Here, thanks for your service, and have a good day. But I think it would be good for Mark Henry, because if that thing needs to do one of two things: either a way to one last big quote-unquote win for some old guys who are about to leave, or it needs to be a way to build up new talent. And you can go 1 year, it can be putting some new guy over that you're about to push. The next year, some old dude who's leaving. It doesn't always have to be the same thing, but it needs to be one of those two things. And I think this year it needs to be Mark Henry, because Braun Strowman is still super green. I mean, he's like Green Lantern green. Mark Henry's ready to go. He's tired. The poor guy can barely make it to the ring, it seems like. Let's just let him win that thing, have his last big WrestleMania moment. He can announce the next night, I'm done. Thank you guys very much. Sexual chocolate out, drops a mic, and leaves. Which will take a while, but that would be the way to do it, I think.
Yeah, totally. Okay. I completely agree with that. Mark deserves it.
Amen. He does. He has had a very long career. From everything I've seen, seems like a super nice guy, good person. So yeah, I think he deserves that win. Yeah. Okay, so I think let's talk about next the match that I think no one is looking forward to: Kalisto versus Ryback for the U.S. Championship. Why couldn't this have been the ladder match?
I actually said the same thing.
I mean, you could have done this. Could have been a ladder match. You could have had like a fatal 4-way or a triple threat for the Intercontinental title if they didn't want to go full-blown Sammy and Kevin. But yeah, Kalisto and Ryback, really? I mean,
yeah, I mean, how the mighty have fallen.
Yes.
In terms of the U.S. title.
Yeah, and that's sad. I mean, it's really sad. They need to do something with it. They need to do, I don't know, they need to make it as the title that gets defended regularly on TV. They
need John Cena back, to be honest.
Sadly, you're right. His run as U.S. champion was fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But other people can do that. It doesn't need to be Cena. They need to treat it like it's something important. And Del Rio didn't do a very good job with that. Then again, they have just... Del Rio works so much better everywhere else but WWE. His give a shit reservoir just depletes when he walks into a WWE arena. It's sad.
Mm-hmm.
But this match, I don't get this, because it's... I mean, you can have Kalisto eke out a win. You could... Which is really, of the two, Kalisto needs the win. Because he's still the rising up-and-comer. He is someone that kids could really like if they give him a new theme song, because that Lucha chant is awful. And he is good. He's not as botch-tastic as his tag team partner, or his tag team partner's former namesake. But he's very good, and I think had they gone a route of saying him and Neville feuding over the U.S. title, would have been 1,000 times better. That would have been a fun match to watch. But the more and more Ryback is around, the more and more I see how not very good he is.
Yeah.
And it's sad, because he's so misused. He's a good talker, but they overscript him. Let him just go out there and be himself, because he can be a witty, clever guy. But the whole big guy, feed me more crap, I'm liking that he's dropping a lot of that, and he's kind of going heel. Dressing him like Goldberg, I don't know if that's the right way to go. Not that I hated his old ring gear. I thought it looked terrible on him. But putting him in a straight-up Goldberg outfit is just... Unless, I mean, if they were going to do that and they had secured Goldberg to come back and those two could have had a match, then that would have worked. But, yeah, it's just... so who do you think is going to win this piece of crap?
Well, I think that Kalisto is going to win, but I think that there's a possibility Ryback wins, just for the sake of, like last year when he won the Intercontinental title, just to try and give him a run. But they also need to be aware of this. If they plan on doing that and having Kalisto win back the belt, that would be Kalisto's third reign with the belt.
Yeah.
4 months.
Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah, they don't need... If they change the title, they need to let Ryback have it. They need to let him be a bulldozer and just plow over people. Maybe even he needs to bring back the U.S. Open Challenge, because, he's an arrogant dude. He could probably pull that off.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, so if you give it to Ryback, he needs to come out Monday on Raw and say, I told you I was going to beat this. Kalisto gave it a good fight. He can't stand up to someone like me, and I'm going to be a fighting champion. I'm bringing back the U.S. Open Challenge. Every Monday night, I will call people out, so bring it. Whoever wants a shot, bring it. And, yeah, you could do that, and it could hopefully improve Ryback, because we've seen that he is willing to do different things, add things to his arsenal. The running knees, which I'm sure is just him, flipping the bird to CM Punk. But he can actually do them.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're going to give the title to Ryback, that's the way they need to do it. Otherwise, they need to keep the belt on Kalisto, but they've got to do something. Maybe even Monday have Sin Cara turn on him.
Yeah.
And those two have a feud. And then that way you can get rid of the Lucha Dragons, you can send Sin Cara off to Superstars Land, and let Kalisto be his own person and run with the belt.
Yeah, you can break up Lucha Dragons and bring back Los Aviadores with Unico and Epico.
Oh yeah, the Matadors. Or no, wait. Unico. Yeah. You could do that. You could.
Epico's team when he was in FCW.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Or. Yeah. I like that. So. Yeah, but they gotta get Kalisto away from Sin Cara. Gotta get him.
Yeah.
New music stuff, and so yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on. That's how about the Usos against the Dudley Boys. I don't see a point for this other than just to get them on WrestleMania.
Well, that's the point of half the matches on WrestleMania.
True. That is true. So this begs the question, why isn't there like a fatal four-way for the tag team titles that the Dudley Boys could win their 10th belt at WrestleMania on their 20th anniversary? Why can't? Yeah, exactly. Doesn't make sense. So, I mean, this is like the 80th time these two teams have gone in there together. I'm sure it's going to be a good match. They all four of these guys can go. I don't really give a rip who wins. To me, this is a coin toss, whatever. As long as the match doesn't suck, I don't care.
I think the way they need to go is the Dudleys need to win, because I can't see them putting the Usos against the New Day again, especially if the New Day's turning babyface.
Yeah, I like that.
So they need a heel to go against the New Day.
And that would be a new thing, because you could... Okay, so I like this. So, based on this, you have the Dudleys just end up destroying the Usos. Just be as vicious as they can. Monday on Raw, the New Day are out doing their thing. The Dudleys come out and say, "We want those belts," and that could lead to a match at Extreme Rules. It could be a tables match. It could be a TLC match, and that's when the Dudleys finally get their win.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now okay, so let's now talk about the other tag team match. The New Day versus the League of Nations in the handicap match, which apparently is not for the title. Now that has changed, so this is not a title match. So it's going to be a 4-on-3. I don't see any way that the New Day loses this. They have to win.
I think they are screwing up on this one because they should have made it a 6-man tag and just had Sheamus, Rusev, and Del Rio in the match and had Barrett on the outside. Well, I mean, I just think Barrett fits better as a manager, but I would also prefer him in the match over either Rusev or Sheamus. Del Rio or Sheamus.
Yeah, I agree. But who knows? I mean, Barrett's done some wrestling in the last few weeks, but he was hurt for a really long time.
Yeah.
So, and he's good at that kind of manager role. And I mean, the rumors are he's not re-signing. He's not signing a new contract, and he's out at the end of his current contract. And maybe they're just going to use this as a way to implode the League of Nations.
That wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, no, because that is awful. And I mean, you don't know what do you do with these guys. I'd much rather I'd like to see if you implode them, maybe even have, and you can have it two heels going against each other, a Del Rio Sheamus feud.
Spring cleaning.
Yeah, well, that's true. The bus flip. Get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
No, I don't foresee them getting rid of Del Rio, considering they just signed him in however many months ago, and I'm sure
he'd be better off back in Mexico.
He would be. He'd be much better off in Mexico, much better off in Lucha Underground, much better off anywhere. Even though my theory is that because he was making good money between AAA, Lucha Underground, and various other indie dates. He was making really good money. I think he took the WWE money because it's just easier to deal with, He has to worry about one paycheck instead of all of these others. Because and he has a family, doesn't he? He has like kids and stuff.
I haven't the faintest idea.
He's certainly old enough too. He's not that he's old, but would be considered an older wrestler. So it would make sense for him at this point in his career to just say, yeah, fuck it. They're going to give me the best paycheck, and even though maybe theoretically I can make more money working for 18 places, why bother when I can work for one? So, yeah, but if the New Day wins, the League of Nations implodes, you could have actually some pretty decent matches between those different guys.
Absolutely.
I think Sheamus and Rusev had good matches back when Rusev won the U.S. title from Sheamus.
Yeah.
I think Del Rio and Sheamus could have some pretty good matches. If nothing else, they could, you would see some potatoes thrown. That would be a stiff freaking match.
I also think that doing that would help Del Rio.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he gets somehow kind of screwed out of the deal, and he just like, you know what, I can't. I'm done with you guys. I can't take this crap anymore. Hell, you could turn him face, or turn him tweener, and just have him just be an ass kicker that goes through and says, you know what, I'm sick of you three jamokes. You have been holding me back. I'm done. I took the fall in this match for no good reason, and I'm out. So yeah, and then the New Day gets to continue doing their New Day awesomeness. But this then also with this whole tag team situation, especially if the Dudleys win and go against the New Day for the titles and eventually win, do you wait to bring out Cass and Enzo until the Dudleys are the champions?
Yes.
Okay, so you say you would go that route instead of bringing them out on Monday?
I would do that because if you're turning New Day babyface, you would either need a short-term feud for Cass and Enzo, which I think that it could work, Cass and Enzo against the League of Nations.
Yeah.
Just to tie them up for maybe a month or so. But once the Dudleys win, think about what it'll do for Cass and Enzo if they beat the Dudleys.
Yeah, that is true. You could almost make the argument for, even if Cass and Enzo came up, they could go against the Social Outcasts as long as they destroyed them.
Totally. That would be perfect for them.
Yeah, because that could be fun promos back and forth.
Yeah.
The Social Outcasts could be out doing their stupid crap on Monday. Cass and Enzo's music hits. They come out. The place erupts. You can't teach that, and they destroy the Social Outcasts. They have a few matches with them. After Extreme Rules, Dudleys are champions, and then you have, preferably at some point in New York, if they make a stop in New York after Extreme Rules, the Dudleys can be out there saying, we've beaten everyone. There is no one left for us to beat. And then Cass and Enzo's music hits and say, well, you haven't beaten us.
Well, in that case, I think what might be best for them is moving from, say, the Social Outcast to the League of Nations. So, that would carry Barrett until he leaves.
Yeah.
And that could carry Enzo and Cass until SummerSlam, when they could go against the Dudleys in New York.
Perfect. That is perfect. Yeah. So you have them short feud with the League of Nations, or with Social Outcasts. Have them go against the League of Nations, and you can have the League of Nations loss at WrestleMania to the New Day start sowing the seeds of dissension with Del Rio. They feud. Cass and Enzo feud with the League of Nations. At the final match, Barrett takes the fall. That's him leaving. That's his job going out the door, putting over this brand new team. And then after that, they challenge the Dudleys to a match in New York at SummerSlam. And that crowd will go insane for Cass and Enzo that night.
Absolutely. That's what you're doing.
Yep. Okay, WWE, I know you're not listening, but you should. But make this happen. Let's just make that happen. Of course, it's not going to. It's going to be some crap fest. But so there's one other match that is not officially listed anywhere, but they're working on it. It's that Divas tag team match where it's Lana, Emma, and the remnants of Team Bad, Naomi and Tamina against Paige, Brie, Alicia Fox, and is it Natalia?
Yeah, and Summer's on the other team.
Summer's on, okay. And this is the who gives a fuck match, but let's get these ladies a payday match.
And this is also the match that makes me think that Ryback and Kalisto are on the pre-show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because this is the perfect, we need a breather in between either Triple H and Roman or Brock and Dean before the Hell in the Cell match.
That is probably where the match is going to be.
Yeah, the death slot.
Yeah.
But the only thing I think in this match that the opportunity that they missed, they should have brought up Nia Jax to team with Tamina and Naomi, because they literally are family, and that would have worked.
True.
Not that she's really ready for the big show.
No, not at all.
No, and that's probably why they didn't. You slot Emma in there, or you slot Summer Rae in there, whoever, and especially Emma, that she can work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, in a way, you look at this match, and it's like, okay, even with Lana, who is new, especially to being in the ring, and Paige, who is newer, and Emma, who is definitely, I think Emma has a lot more in common with your Sashas and Beckys and Baileys than she does with the Bellas. But you kind of look at this match and it's like, okay, this is what the Divas wrestling was. And the other match we're going to see tonight, that's women's wrestling. And this is the transition. This is the old guard. This is what has been the female division in WWE for the last 5-6 years. And maybe it's time to put this to bed as we bring up people who can actually go. And of course, you can have Emma will stay, I would think. Paige. Paige's problem is she has become so ingrained into the whole diva thing that she has gotten not very good in the ring. Watching her wrestle, she reminds me so much more of the Bellas, of Summer Rae, who sucks, of that whole thing, than compared to when, back when she was wrestling AJ Lee, or back when she was going against Emma at NXT Arrival. It's like, wow, man, what did you do to this poor girl? You killed her. I don't really give a shit who wins this match.
Me neither.
I'm sure the baby faces will win just because.
I don't know about that, considering Brie's retiring the next day.
True. So maybe Brie takes the fall. Maybe she puts over Lana.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And that'll be the question. Can Lana actually wrestle?
Yeah. Well, that's why you put her in a multi-woman match, to hide the fact that she can't.
True. So yeah, I guess I guess I'm going to say the heels go over, and Brie takes the fall to Lana, giving Lana the rub, and Brie leaves, and so this is a good point to ask this question. Do you know what's going on with Daniel Bryan? I mean, he was booked for a bunch of stuff, and now he's booked for nothing. Is there a health issue, or is he just finally said, "Screw it, I'm done"?
Last I heard, it was health issues.
Ugh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a good thing he did retire then. If things are starting to crop up, get well soon, Daniel Bryan. Man, his speech, his goodbye speech, that was That was brutal, man. I cried.
Yeah, it was hard to watch.
Yeah. Even harder to watch than, poor Titus O'Neil getting shoved by an angry old white man. But I digress. So let's talk now about the Intercontinental title ladder match. So we've got Kevin Owens defending the title against Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Stardust, Sin Cara, Zack Ryder, and The Miz. Now, obviously, 3 of these guys are in here just because. Because otherwise, Sammy, Dolph, The Miz, and before he broke his ankle, Neville, were all kind of had issues with Kevin Owens. And I suspect
I do think that was supposed to be the match.
I agree. Yeah, I think Neville was supposed to be in there. And, oh man, did you see the like real slowed down gifs of that when he broke his ankle?
Yeah.
Ugh, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was rough.
Oh, that was. And man, props to Chris Jericho for saving that thing. And then
yeah, totally.
And then knowing, oh shit, we still have like 4 minutes to kill, grabbing the mic and cutting that promo on AJ, and then them sending out AJ, which who knows if that was he was originally supposed to come out or not, but
most of it was probably a shoot.
yeah, they did a good job with that.
Yeah,
I think this and the Divas Championship match have the potential to be the matches of the night.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win this? I mean, you can take the belt off of Owens without putting it on Sammy if they're not ready to put the title on Sammy, and still Owens and Sammy can go and have a feud that, if they do it right, that feud needs to go on for a very long time.
Well, with how low the bar was set with last year's Intercontinental title ladder match, and the talent that's in this year's, it will be better than last year's.
True.
But I think, in terms of saving the Intercontinental title, they need to keep it on Kevin and have it be a big part of his feud with Sammy.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. You could then hold off their big final. Sammy gets his win maybe till SummerSlam. You could even hold it off until next WrestleMania if you wanted, and in between they could have feuds with other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think Kevin Owens has been a fantastic Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
He has really helped that title, because that title was in the shitter for a long time. And,
absolutely. And
he has brought it back, and he is the best person of this batch to continue to do that. I don't think the belt would lose any luster on Sami Zayn, because I think he would be a fighting champion. I could even see him bringing back the Open Challenge, or a variation of it, with the IC title. But
on SmackDown.
Hey, maybe I'll start watching SmackDown then. If I knew that every week Sami Zayn was defending the Intercontinental title on SmackDown, I would probably watch it, at least that part of it.
Yeah.
And I really wish, speaking of SmackDown, can they just bring Mauro Ronaldo to Raw, please? Just because I know his announcing is so much better, but I just can't bring myself to watch SmackDown.
Me too. Scratch that. Have him and King do commentary for Mania. You don't need King on that stupid panel.
Yeah. I heard that they were talking about having a part of it, him and King do the commentary for part of Mania, and then the rest of them, Byron, Cole, and JBL, do it for another part. And I think that's a good idea.
That is, because I heard King was lobbying for it.
Yeah, and why not? You do that as a way to promote SmackDown, which it does not get the viewership that Raw gets. You want to try to make SmackDown feel like it's important. You showcase their announce team, have them, and not just give them the pre-show.
They need to have the back end of the show.
Yeah, or at the very least, you could have them trade off. You could have them, like, the first few matches be Morrow and King, and then a few matches be the rest of the Raw crew, and kind of go back and forth. And I can see whatever the main event is, fine. Let JBL, Cole, and Byron have that one. But maybe the match the big match before, either the Lesnar Dean match or the Roman Triple H match, let Morrow and King have that match. They need to do that to help put those guys over. And the fact
I think Morrow's the only one that can actually put over Roman.
He could probably do it if anyone could.
Yeah.
And if Roman turns heel, Morrow could do the great shocked, oh my God, how could you do this reaction?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with you. I think Kevin Owens is going to win the Intercontinental match. You've got a match that has Owens, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler. That alone right there they can make up for whoever else is in the ring. Zack Ryder being in this is a freaking joke. Stardust we know can go, so he'll be able to add things to the match. Sin Cara at that ladder match for the tag titles a few months back, I forget when that was, but he did a really good job in that match. I mean, the Lucha Dragons both did, but he was passable. So the only person in this match who really just is a complete dud, I think, is Ryder, and The Miz, but more so Ryder. But yeah, I think Owens is going over, continues his feud with Sami Zayn, and poor Dolph. As much as I'd like to see Dolph get a win, he wouldn't do much for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Unless he did a open challenge, and he's the kind of guy who could do that.
Yeah,
yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, so if you're going to put on someone else, it has to be either Sammy or Ziggler, and they have to do an open challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. All right, so let's get on to the Divas Championship. Charlotte is defending her title in a 3-way against Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. This is easily the match I'm looking forward to the most. The Fatal 4-way that these three had with Bayley at that TakeOver last year was unbelievable. And as long as they give them time, and Triple H is going to be lobbying for them to have a lot of time for this match, as long as they give them at least 15 minutes, this is going to tear the house down.
Mm-hmm. With the chemistry all three of them have,
oh, yeah.
It would be terrible to not give them a fair amount of time, especially giving them more time than the multi-woman match earlier on the card.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. The multi-woman match needs to be 5 minutes at most. Well, I hate saying that. It should not be more than 10 minutes. This match for the championship needs to be at least 15 minutes, if not 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, you have a 2-hour pre-show. Stock up the 2-hour pre-show.
Exactly. And they're saying, hey, there's going to be 7 hours of WrestleMania. And I'm not sure how much of that's also including the Hall of Fame show. But I don't know. I'm not going to sit down 7 hours straight and watch all this crap in one sitting.
Yeah.
Can't do it, man. I mean, that's a damn job. That's a day at work, for the love of Pete. I mean, they're asking a lot out of us. Dang. My hope for this match is I really want Becky to win. I think Becky Lynch has caught on with the fans more than anyone expected. I think the conventional wisdom is that Sasha Banks is going to be the long-term breakout star of this group, at least of these three. But right now, Becky is killing it, and she has got people behind her. And I think she needs to be the one to win, because Sasha, we know, long-term is going to be fine. Charlotte, long-term, is going to be fine. Becky's the only one who didn't hold the NXT title. I think give her...
Charlotte.
Do what?
Have her beat Charlotte.
Yep.
Have a rematch on Raw, and then have her go against Sasha at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think she needs to show up on Monday after winning and saying, you know what? I'm a woman's wrestler, throwing that belt away, that god-awful belt that they have, and bringing out some new belt. It doesn't have to be the old women's belt. And in fact, I'd prefer it to be a newly designed women's championship belt.
Mm-hmm.
And it can have sparkles on it. The NXT women's title has a bunch of diamond sparkly crap. That's fine. But the Divas moniker has got to go as far as the name of the championship is concerned. I know they've got a lot of money behind the whole Divas thing and Total Divas and all the marketing. They can still call it the Divas division if they want, but let's call that the women's title. Let's give these ladies some respect. And if Becky's not the one to do it, then at some point Sasha needs to do it. So just one of those two needs to be the one to toss that belt and say, we're a new generation, we're taking over, this is our new title.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I will be shocked if this isn't the match of the night. And whoever has to follow this up, good luck. Because if that NXT TakeOver Brooklyn match was any indication, because Finn and Owens had that great ladder match, but you knew after that match was over, you knew everyone was like, oh, I feel sorry for the poor bastard that has to follow up this. And luckily, Owens and Finn Balor delivered, but yeah. So this brings us down to the final three matches of the night, and there's lots of talk about which one will be the main event. I think it's going to be Shane and Taker is going to be the final match.
I agree.
Okay. Which means probably the next match will be Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose in a street fight. I'm also looking forward to this match a lot. I think it's going to be vicious, and I think Dean Ambrose is going to come out weapons galore, but he has to win this. Because Lesnar taking a loss in a street fight, it doesn't do anything to him. It doesn't hurt him. He's fucking Brock Lesnar, man. He ripped a door off of a car. It won't do anything to him. But Dean Ambrose getting the win will elevate him like crazy.
I also think it's the only way you can have Brock lose.
Agreed.
Because you have so many gimmicks in the match that it's the only way Brock can lose, and also it's not like he doesn't have to get. It's not like he can't get his heat back after the match.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're in 100% agreement here. I think Dean goes over even if he gets his ass whooped afterwards. But yeah, that's because it was at Extreme Rules that Lesnar lost to Cena after getting hit in the face with a chain. So there's precedent for this. He can smack him across the head with something, hard.
Especially if Dean takes out the chainsaw.
Oh yeah, that segment was so goofy. Oh man, and the look on his face when he was sawing up that table, that was hilarious. I don't think they're going to bring out the chainsaw. You can't. It's because what are they going to do? Dismember somebody? Even CZW. I don't know if they would. Well, maybe they would. They do some crazy shit down there.
Weed Whacker instead.
Do what?
Weed Whacker.
Oh God! Oh my God!
Imagine him chasing Paulie around the ring for the Weed Whacker.
Oh my God, that would be great. And what is cool though is this match is a nice little tip of the hat to Dean Ambrose's past in extreme matches. So I think this is a good fitting match for them, and I think these two guys have really good chemistry together. Because Brock is just the arrogant giant that's like, why do you keep getting up? And Dean just won't stay down, and I think it works really well together.
Yeah.
All right, so this takes us to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Triple H defending against the absolutely beloved and revered Roman Reigns. Oh, that poor guy. Did you hear or read those comments he made recently? Where he said something along the lines of, I don't understand why anyone would boo me.
The dude needs to be a heel.
He does.
Jeez.
He really does. Now, I read, I didn't listen to the show, but I read, there was a whole paragraph that when he was talking about it, and in context, it didn't come off as asshole-ish as the headline made it look like. But, because I get the feeling that, he's probably a pretty good guy. He's probably an overall pretty nice guy, but he does have that whole, I'm your high school football captain mentality. And he could be a nice guy, but he's still, a 6 foot some odd beautiful, arrogant dick.
Yeah.
And he needs to play that up. So obviously I think it's a pretty foregone conclusion that Roman Reigns wins this match.
Yeah.
Because Triple H's talent contract is over, and he was never going to hold the belt for very long. So I think what they should do is have Roman win. Crowd takes the biggest, smelliest poop on him of all time, because that's going to happen. It will be. I mean, it would if people were into throwing things. If stuff starts getting thrown at the ring like trash, it could look like when Hogan turned and formed the NWO, and that ring was so littered with trash.
Yep.
So, and imagine you have this moment where, and that would be the perfect way to do it, if you had a moment where Reigns wins, he's celebrating, my God, I finally won, and he's just getting pelted with trash, and him just look up, shake his head, leave, and show up on Monday and just tear into the fans and say, I did everything I was supposed to. I worked my ass off. I sacrificed, and you people still hate me. Fine. Screw you. I'm done with you effers. And just go off. And that way you could start to genuinely get this guy over.
Yep.
And maybe even at that point, depending on who wins, if the Authority is still around with the Shane Taker match, he could align himself with them and say, you know what? Fine. I've been doing things my way. You guys can't stand me. They're offering me money. I need to support my family. And do it that way. But I think him just going off saying, I've had it. I'm better than you. I've tried so hard to be what you want, and I'm done. It would be the promo that everyone who's ever wanted John Cena to turn heel to cut. Just have Roman Reigns do it.
I totally agree, because they're going to run into a problem when Seth comes back. Because there's no way in hell Seth is going to be able to be a heel when he comes back.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's going to get the monster babyface response, and I think in the long run, he's going to be a better babyface anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in WWE, he became 100 times better heel than he ever was in ROH.
Yes, I think he's just improved in general, especially character-wise. In ring, he's always had it. But,
yeah.
But yeah, you bring him back because you think about a lot of those matches he had when he was champion, especially some of those matches against Cena, the one against Cena and Lesnar, which was before he got the belt, but he wrestled so many of those matches like a babyface. And I think there's long term there's a lot of money in him being a babyface. So yeah, it'd be perfect. You turn Roman heel, have Seth come into a monstrous babyface ovation, and tell Roman, I never lost that. I'm your next challenger. And Roman could even do, you think you deserve to be in the ring with me? Kind of thing, and go from there.
We're just booking 2016 for WWE.
Yeah. Yep. And so then we're going to get to the main event. Hell in a Cell for control of Monday Night Raw. Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker. I'm going to let you... What are your thoughts on this? Because I really don't know what to think.
Well, I mean, it just popped into my head now. This match is sort of a slap in the face to SmackDown because you're saying control of Monday Night Raw is basically controlling WWE. So isn't that a slap in the face to SmackDown?
I hadn't thought of that. You were right. Oh my god. Wow, that is...
I mean, unless you're saying SmackDown isn't a part of WWE.
Which I know there's been a lot of talk of they're going to use this to do a brand split.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think a brand split's a good idea?
This was actually my most recent fan opinion post for the site. A lot of people said yes, a few people said no, and I actually gave my thoughts on it as well. That as of right now, I don't think it is a good idea, but I think maybe around SummerSlam it would be a good idea because everybody would be back. Cena, Rollins, Randy, Cesaro, etc. They would all be back, so they would have more of a roster to make the brand split.
Yeah. See, because I'm really torn. Because on the one hand, I think doing a brand split and having giving more people a chance with various things to fight over, it would be a good thing. If they really did it. And in a way, I think if you're going to do something like that, you almost need to... I mean, you can still call the show SmackDown, but give it its own actual brand, where NXT is a third brand. Let's make up 3 new letters. And you could either give it the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title, make a new main championship, and it doesn't even need to be the big gold belt. It could be something new. And in a way, it might be better to make it just something new.
Or have the Intercontinental title be the main title and bring back a lower card title like the Hardcore or something like that.
Yeah, you could do that. I would say if you're going to bring a title back, I'd like to see the TV title come back. And make it part of its deal is it is defended every single week on TV. So yeah, I always liked the TV title back in WCW and the NWA.
Me too.
So that is one that, that's the one I would bring back. If you have, now if you do that, if you would elevate, well, see, if you did that, if you sent the Intercontinental title over to SmackDown, would you then have the world title as one that's defended between both brands, and then elevate the U.S. title as the main title on Raw?
You'd have to.
Okay. So then, to me, though, if you're going to do this, because that's kind of how I think they were trying to do it before for a while, when they had the unified belt, and then they split it, and they had the 2 world titles. If you were going to do this, really go the full 9. Cut ties, make them drastically different, give them different names, make it a whole new thing. Make it like they are separate, treat them like separate promotions. And if you do that, I think it could work.
And they also have to bring back the draft.
And that would be fun. But you're right, you have to do it once more people are healed.
I mean, unless they can figure out a way to carry it until SummerSlam, and then you slowly but surely bring people like Seth Rollins back, you put them on Raw or SmackDown, and Cena and Randy, etc., and you bring them back and slowly integrate them into the brand split.
Yeah, or you could also do the draft, and have the draft include people who are injured. And just say,
that's true.
When he comes back, Cesaro will be heading to SmackDown.
That's true.
And you could, another thing you could do with this is you could, in a way it might hurt NXT if they did this too much, but you could create the brands and make them very, very different. You could make Raw the sports entertainment brand, where it is very much the kind of Vince vision, and you make SmackDown the wrestling brand, which is what Paul Heyman did.
Yeah, like it was back in the day.
Yeah. So you make them very different animals, so it'll make it feel like two competing shows. And there's no reason why one master conglomerate company couldn't own, in theory, 3 separate promotions that behave differently.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Yeah, and that would be the way to do it. In fact, you could give them their own promotion name, have WWE just be the name of all of it. And under the WWE banner, you have NXT, you have whatever you call Raw, whatever you call SmackDown. I don't think they would ever go that far, but if you're gonna do a brand split, you need to go the full 9.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the match itself. We've got Shane, who hasn't been in a ring in forever. We've got Undertaker, who has looked much better in his last matches than he had at WrestleMania 30 when he lost to Brock Lesnar, but still can't move like he used to. Has, in most of his recent appearances on Raw, has spent twice as much time walking to the ring as he spent in the ring, which irritates the hell out of me. I know his intro is a big part of it, but man, that gets really freaking old. But how does this happen? I mean, those moments where Shane is throwing the Muay Thai punches and everything just looked kind of sad. Well, I don't know. I mean, other than Shane just throwing himself off the top of the cage at some point, which I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I don't know. I don't know.
Someone interferes.
Who?
I mean, it's been almost 20 years, let Kane interfere again. Have him rip the door off the hinges.
Criminy, do we really want that? I mean, yeah, it would be a nice, hey, 20 years later nod. But if it would be more beneficial to bring in someone new, someone young. I mean, you could bring in the Bullet Club, have them be Shane's guys.
I could see Roman doing it. If
Shane.
Taker goes on last.
Yeah.
I could see Roman doing it and setting up a match with him and Taker at SummerSlam.
Yeah, you could do that. You could, if Sting wasn't injured so much to the point that his career is over, which depending on who you ask, his neck is fine. Who knows what the truth is? But you could, it would be the perfect chance for Sting to come in, set up a match against Taker, because he's still. There is a part of me that thinks Steve Boardman is like, I don't care that I could not walk anymore. I'm having one last match, and it's going to be against Undertaker, by God.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how smart that is. I don't think it is.
I agreed.
But not that it would be a very dangerous match, mind you, unless Taker just finally loses all his strength when he's trying to give Sting the tombstone. Because when those two have a match, Taker's going over, if they do. So Sting would... But then, Sting could actually be the one to cause interference and not get physical.
That's true, but I think that would be sort of a trolling moment, because then people would think Sting and Taker's going to happen, but most people know it can't.
Yeah, true. It would be very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
So who do you think Shane's going to win?
I do think Shane's going to win.
Yeah, I think so. I'm leaning towards Shane winning, because especially with the double stipulation of Taker has to retire and it's for control of Raw, I think you can't put all of that on the line and have just business as usual.
It was, from what I heard, this would be Taker's last WrestleMania if he lost.
Oh.
and not retirement, it would be his last match at WrestleMania, meaning he could never wrestle a match at WrestleMania again.
But he could wrestle at SummerSlam.
He could.
And Survivor Series.
He could. Exactly.
In a way, it would be fitting for his last match to be at a Survivor Series, since that was his first match.
Yep. Totally.
So yeah, so there's going to be shenanigans, and Shane wins. And
only problem is it's a Hell in a Cell match, and really doesn't leave room for shenanigans.
Yeah, true. But it's not like people haven't interfered in those matches before.
Yeah, but it's not like Tess can interfere.
True.
Just to put it in context for anybody that doesn't know, 9 out of 10 times when Shane was in a match back in the day, Tess would interfere in all of them.
Okay. See, and I did not know that, because that was a lot of his matches happened at a time when I wasn't really following wrestling. I've seen many of the clips and many of the crazy crap he's done. Mm-hmm. See, the problem, because now that it's a Hell in a Cell match, it means he can't jump off the Titantron. Because that's what he was.
How many times has WWE gotten him out of the cage?
True. What was it?
Shane's in the match, and if he wants to jump off the Titantron, he's going to jump off the Titantron.
Which, at what point do his wife and kids go, no, you're not doing that? Because one slight miscalculation, and you are not walking ever again.
Well, maybe his wife will do it then.
Okay, so Shane wins. We go off the air. Big celebration. Vince is losing his mind. What happens on Monday?
You kick off the brand split. You announce the draft for next week, or you announce the draft for SmackDown to get people to watch SmackDown, and then you have the second half of the draft on Raw. Yeah, but it has to be a draft like it was back in 2002 when Flair and Vince did the draft the first time.
Yeah.
And, the preceding one with Eric and Paul Heyman.
Yeah. So if you do that, then I think you've got to have... You end up, if you do the draft, if you do that, Shane has got to pick the younger people. He's got to pick the... he's got to pick your Owens and Sammy and the New Day and Ambrose and those, and Becky and Sasha.
I actually think having Sammy and Kevin on the separate brands, especially if you're doing a brand split, would be good for him, because then that is a perfect way to keep him separated until then it's a promotional pay-per-view.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Because despite the fact these two have feuded pretty much off and on their entire career, who knows how long they can keep it up in WWE. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And, wherever either of those two guys go, they're going to be fine, because they're that good.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Owens has just, I think much to the chagrin of Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon, has succeeded. I'm sure that they sit back and go, why is this fat ass so popular?
Yeah.
But what boggles me, and maybe we just don't see it all, because there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know. But what boggles my mind is that there will be people that get over, that sell merch, that then the company turns around and just buries and kills. And I don't understand that. It's like, you've got a guy who's making you money. Why are you, just because he doesn't fit your look or what you're looking for, why are you stopping this? It's money in your pocket.
Zack Ryder.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so that's it, man. That's the two big cards of the weekend. It's I think whatever happens, it's going to be fun. I think the whatchamacallit, Hall of Fame should also be pretty interesting. Now, have you heard? I heard a rumor, and I don't know if it was just someone just being a douche and fucking with people, but I heard a rumor that the Freebirds are going to be inducted by the New Day. Has that been?
That's not a rumor.
That is official?
Yeah.
I love the New Day.
Because Michael's a big fan of the New Day.
Oh, well, why not Kevin Von Erich?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I mean, other than Michael Hayes wants to help promote a new talent, and he loves the New Day, or maybe even Kevin Von Erich said no, and maybe they want to bring in someone new to, because I mean, you look at this year's induction class, and the biggest, I mean, the headliner, and the second place people going in, the headliner was a WCW NWA guy who was in WWE for a cup of coffee, and the other team was a Mid-South world-class group of guys, and a Georgia team who wrestled like one match or 1 month of matches in WWE. This is a class that is full of non-WWE people. I mean, yeah, Big Boss Man, they're celebrating his WWE character, but if they have, I would hope that they would acknowledge Big Bubba Rogers and everything else he did besides just the Big Boss Man, because he was fantastic in UWF. His feuds with One Man Gang were great. So yeah, there's. I hope that they do more than just that. But then and Jackie had a good run in WWE, but the vast majority of her career was other places. Yeah. And Stan Henson, he was what? He was an AWA guy.
He was an AWA and over in Japan.
Right. So this year's Hall of Fame is chock full of non-WWE folks. So maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe they figured, look, I mean, yeah, we're going to have Flair induct Sting, which part of me thought Luger should do it. But because if it's not Flair inducting Sting into the Hall of Fame, it's got to be Lex Luger. It's one of those two people. So maybe it was just a good chunk of our audience does not know who the hell the Freebirds are, and they won't know who Kevin Von Erich is, despite the fact that he's in the Hall of Fame. So let's bring out someone we know the crowd does know and does like, who can then put over these four old redneck white boys who may or may not be racists. That's maybe the way to do it.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, Jimmy Garvin should not be on the stage. And I think the only reason why he is going in is because Buddy passed away.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's it. I mean, he was in the Freebirds. And sometimes I think one of the dilemmas when you put in a faction or a stable into the Hall of Fame is, by putting them in, do you just cherry pick one iteration, or by putting in the stable, do you put in everyone who's ever been in the stable? Because when they put in the Four Horsemen, sure, the people who were there were Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Barry Windham. But
the best iteration,
right? I have a real soft spot for the original with Ole Anderson. But yeah, with Barry Windham, that was some of Windham's best stuff he ever did.
Yeah.
But there's also the legacy of the Four Horsemen. So even though officially Paul Roma, who sucks, Chris Benoit, Brian Pillman,
Paul Roma's the Horseman's Jimmy Garvin.
Exactly. Yeah. Or Mongo McMichael. I mean, they didn't get rings, but they're part of that legacy. So that's hard. It's almost like when you have a band that goes into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that's had a bunch of various, very popular iterations. Like Fleetwood Mac, for example. You put Fleetwood Mac in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Which version of Fleetwood Mac? I mean, obviously you're going to go The people you want at the show are the people who recorded Rumors. You need that lineup. But does that mean that the group, the people who were in the band before and after, are shafted? So I think too much about these things. I really do. It's way too much time thinking about stupid things. But yeah, I think you're right, though. Jimmy Garvin is there because he's not dead.
Exactly. And I think the only reason why the New Day is inducting the Freebirds is because Dusty can't.
Yeah.
Because if Dusty was here, he would be inducting the Freebirds.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a couple-fold. I think it's Dusty not being there. I think it is probably something maybe with Kevin Von Erich not wanting to, not being able to. Part of it is Michael Hayes wanting to put over someone new. The WWE wanting someone new to help make newer fans know who these guys are, and you can't ignore the fact that some of it's got to be racially motivated. Because whether or not Michael Hayes is a racist anymore, he probably was at some point. I mean, and to be fair, the guy is from deep, deep freaking South, and that was the environment he grew up in. But this is a team that's banner was the Confederate battle flag. So it's probably a good idea, PR-wise, to have 3 boisterous black dudes. Put them in.
Yeah.
And it's sad that we even have to think of it that way. It really is. It's kind of pathetic that we have to even have this conversation and race has to become part of it. But with WWE's record on race issues, it's probably a really smart idea for them to have the New Day do it. Plus, in fairness, the New Day does invoke the Freebird rule.
True.
So there is a connection there. It's tiny, but still.
Very true.
Yeah. So, is there anything in the Hall of Fame that you're looking forward to the most?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Sting's speech. I think it'll be a good speech. He's a good talker. He always was, but he's gotten better over the years.
Yeah.
And he's, if not my all-time favorite, he's in my top 3. Yeah, I think, depending on my mood, my all-time favorites switch between Sting and Arn Anderson, which is probably why I like the Revival so much. But yeah, I'm looking forward to his speech. That should be good. And he just seems like a good dude, Yeah. And for me, if someone seems like a decent person, it makes me like them even more. And on the flip side, if someone comes off as a real piece of crap in real life, yeah, exactly. But I wonder, man, with Roman, how much of that is Roman shoving his foot in his mouth and unintentionally looking like a jackass, and how much of it is him being an arrogant jerk?
True.
Yeah. I'd like to think it is he just shoves his foot in his mouth from time to time. I mean, hell, we've got a vice president that does it every time he opens his mouth, so you never know. And the state I live in, Oklahoma, we had a governor, Frank Keating. He was world famous for saying stupid shit. And not on purpose, because he's a nice guy. But he would say some of the stupidest things, and you'd look at him like, Frank, you've been in politics for how long? Perfect side story, just to give you an example of this. He was at a elementary school talking to kids, and there was a Q&A part, and a kid asked, what do we do if we have a teacher that we just cannot get along with? We've tried everything and we can't. And he says, well, ever consider murder? As a total joke. Needless to say, the teachers' unions already hated this man. It was a bloodbath. He didn't mean it bad. He wasn't advocating killing anyone. he was just making a bad joke. And so, needless to say, his elected career is ended. He did his 2-year term, and he's now a lobbyist or some crap. But I've actually met him. He's actually a nice guy. But yeah, he just said stupid shit, man. He'll just be talking, and stupidity comes out of his mouth, which I can wholeheartedly empathize with, because I say stupid stuff all the time. So yeah, I'm trying to give Roman the benefit of the doubt that he just said stupid stuff that is easily taken out of context. But if that's the case, it's the perfect way to make him a great heel. And
totally.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is we're gonna wrap things up, and they can check out Wrestling Express over at WrestlingExpress.net and on Twitter at Wrestling Express with 1 S, correct?
Yep.
All right. And we will be back next week to do not this coming Monday, the following Monday. Jason, former co-host of Around the Ring, is going to join me again for a post-WrestleMania, post-TakeOver show, and I'm going to give some announcements about the long-term future of the show on that episode, so hopefully you guys can tune in. And Michael, again, I appreciate you coming on. It's always a blast when you're here. I thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Anytime. Well, folks, everyone, you guys take care. Have a great weekend, and I'm going to see Batman v Superman in a couple hours. Wish me luck. Take care, guys.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And Bo
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.